Hey everyone, Lady here, back with another 5-minute review. And today we're taking a look at Atomic Owl, which came out on PC and all major consoles on the 15th of July. Created by Monster Theatre Games, Atomic Owl places you in the shoes, or should that be talons, of Hidalgo, Prince of the Bladewings, as you attempt to reclaim your home and the souls of your friends from the evil Omega Wing, one of the last surviving crows following a brutal war. And how do you do this? By jumping, dashing, and slicing your way through enemies with your wisecracking sentient sword Meta. Because what game isn't improved with sentient swords? Anywho, Atomic Owl is a gorgeous pixel art game that impressively fuses nature into cyberpunk and creates this beautiful world that just breathes. Honestly, the background art is just stunning, and I admit I did just put my controller down and gawk at some of the areas, especially the Omega Woodlands. I'm kind of a sucker for a nice woodland scene. Gameplay-wise, Atomic Owl's a bit of a mishmash. It combines precision platforming and light combat with roguelike elements, which can throw you off guard if you go in not expecting the roguelike elements, like I did. The platforming elements, though, are incredibly solid, with double jump, wall jumps, and ledge grabs as standard. And whoa boy, do you need every tool in your arsenal, because this game can be very unrelenting. Not necessarily brutal, but very unrelenting, with a million projectiles being thrown at you as you navigate bottomless pits and small platforms. There are also additional challenge areas if you really want to flex your platforming muscles. But that comes with the threat of death, as every hazard will chip off vital hit points if you're not careful. And it will gradually inch you even closer to death. Because like a roguelike, if you die, it's right back to the start, and you have to work your way back through to where you made it previously. However, unlike a lot of roguelikes, there is no randomness other than some temporary buffs you can pick up from enemies, so upon restart that's where the trial and error gameplay of the platformers comes in. You'll learn a little bit each time and get a little bit further. This also bleeds over into the combat. Meta actually possesses 3 other forms. A broadsword, which is a little bit slower, but more powerful than the standard sword. A hammer, which is tossed in an arc. And my personal favourite, a whipsword, which lets me live out all my Ivy Valentine and Simon Belmont dreams. I'll be honest, I mostly played with the whip because I really liked the range it afforded. Outside of boss fights, combat isn't actually mandatory, so for the vast majority of enemies you can just breeze past them. However, this will mean you miss out on that sweet, sweet currency, which comes in 2 separate flavours, green and blue. Green, Meza, drops appear to be experience points as your character will level up and gain an extra hit point per level. I think, but I'll talk a bit more about that later. The blue stuff though is where the real value lies, as this is used to purchase permanent upgrades when you die. Upgrades range from a health regen between areas to extra lives, essential for me, to increase pickup range on drops. These upgrades come in pretty useful when taking on the game's bosses. Like a lot of the game, they require a bit of memorization and can be a bit tricky when first taking them on. But once you learn the patterns, they're pretty straightforward to beat. The music is also really, really good. Great soundtrack that fits the game's style and keeps you pumped and coming back for more after each death. It has a mix of synthwave, new retro, wave and chiptune, and I'm not gonna lie, I've had it playing in the background while I've been working recently. With Sunset over Bladewing City, 3 Little Hearts and Fallen Bladewing being some of my personal favourites. Although, seriously, the whole OST is an absolute banger. So, at this point you're probably thinking, wow, this game sounds like Game of the Year material. And don't get me wrong, it is good. Really good. But there are a few niggles I need to vent. As with any new game, there are still some bugs. I personally experienced the game getting stuck on a cutscene, and the only way to progress was to skip the whole cutscene, which was kind of a bummer as it was still my first playthrough. I've also seen some players have character portraits get stuck on screen following an in-engine cutscene, which actually blocked off a good portion of the screen and basically made it impossible to play. So, to cut it short, you may find some glitches. However, I do know the team is constantly updating the game, so these may have been fixed at this point. The game is still perfectly playable, but I'd be slightly remiss if I didn't mention it. Secondly, and more annoyingly, the game doesn't really explain many of its mechanics, other than a basic movement and combat tutorial at the start. For example, I didn't actually realise there were multiple weapons until after my third death. I'm still pretty much guessing that the green orbs are some form of EXP, and there is no real explanation about what the side platforming areas are for, other than some extra meza. Also, it doesn't really explain the die and start from the beginning mechanic overly well, which I will admit frustrated me at first, as I wasn't fully expecting it. However, once I got into the groove of the game, bought a few power-ups, everything really started to click. Once you get the hang of everything though, it's super satisfying to blast through areas, utterly smashing enemies and platforming alike. Overall, if you like your platformers with a little bit of roguelike spice, then give atomicowl a go. You'll be very likely to have a good time. Hi everyone! If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you!